Hey everybody, this is Mr. Ainsworth, and we're going to get into a cool lesson here, how to subtract really fast, or what I say rapidly, okay, by adding, believe it or not, okay? So this is a little variation of what we've been thinking about when it comes to subtraction. So here's the method here. So let's talk about that first. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to determine, all right, the distance. So that's the key word here. The distance from some reference point, okay? So from I'm going to call it a multiple of 100. So from a multiple, okay, of 100. And what I'm talking about is 100, 200, 300. Obviously, you guys should know the multiples here, 400, etc. All right. And then, okay, determine that distance from a multiple of 100, like one of these numbers right here, and then simply add the distances together. So add the distances together. All right, so check this out. This is what I'm saying. Let's take a really simple example, and then instead of doing it the old-fashioned way by, borrowing, okay, the way you were taught in grade school, we're going to do it a much faster way. So I want you guys to be able to take 143 and subtract 97 just in your mind quickly. All right, and one way to think of it is using a number line, okay? So I'm going to draw a simple number line here. I'm not going to draw it to scale. I'm just going to draw it so that it makes sense. All right, so let's say first of all, 97 and 143, uh, we understand that 100 is in between these two numbers, okay? It's bigger than 97, it's less than 143. So what we're going to do is compute the distance from each of these to 100. So let's say that 100 is over here. There's our reference point, okay? It's somewhere between these two numbers. 97 is pretty close. 143 is way out here, okay? And again, I'm just approximating location here. So what we want to do is take a look at the distances between our reference point. All right, this is our reference point right here. So the distance here is obviously, hopefully you can see that is 3. 97 plus 3 is 100. And the distance right here, all right, between 143, hopefully you can see that is 43. All right, so the distance between 97 and 43, which is called the difference between the two, all right, has to be the sum of both of those. It has to be 3 plus 43 or 46. All right, notice that I didn't borrow, I didn't do any fancy mathematics here, okay? I do know that 143 minus 97 is 46. All right, if you want to check that, you can take 143, all right, subtract 97. Hopefully you don't need a calculator for this because this is grade school math. But the whole point is to do it mentally, right? So what you do is you figure out the distances from some reference point, all right? And I'm talking about some like reference points like 100, 200, 300, 400, what I call multiples of 100, okay? To do it. And believe it or not, using this in your mind, you can mentally visualize this. You can figure out the difference of two numbers without doing any fancy math. All right, let me illustrate with a couple of different numbers, okay? So here's a different situation. Let's say 280, not 280, 287, no, 283, let's say. 283 minus, let's say, 100 and 94, okay? So let's draw a number line and let's illustrate. All right, so we understand that 200 is between these two numbers here. It's bigger than 194 and less than 283. So let's say that 200 is here. Here's our reference point. 194 is to the left of it, it's smaller. 283 is way over here somewhere to the right because it's obviously 83 bigger than 200. So all you have to do is ask yourself, how far away is 194 from 200? And hopefully you see that 6. All right, 194 plus 6 is 200. And hopefully you see the distance from 200 to 283 is obviously 83. So if you can visualize these two distances, then obviously the distance between the two, which is called the difference here, all right, is 6 plus 83, which is obviously 89. All right, and there's your difference. Notice I didn't borrow. I didn't do, line them up like this. I didn't do borrow here and carry it over and we subtract and borrow again and carry over and subtract. I didn't do any of that, okay? This is the old way. This is what we want to get away from. We want to be able to do it in your head. So you find some reference point in between, some multiple of 100, and calculate the distances from that point in your head. These are what you, in your head, you do mentally. Okay? And that's important. And adding 6 and 83, well, that should be easy. It should, you're seniors, for God's sake, or if you're not a senior, then you still should be able to do it in your high school. All right? So let's practice. Let's get good. So let me take a different example here. Let's say that we have 375, let's say, subtract 289. Let's do that. Okay, so let's draw a little number line to represent it. And you're not going to do this all the time. You're not going to draw this number line. I'm just teaching the lesson so you can see it visually. So 300 is in between these numbers. So let's say 300 is here, 289 is here. It's obviously smaller. 375 is way over here somewhere. Okay, and now how far away is this from 300, our reference point? So here from 289, counting up, 289 plus 1 is 290, and then 10 more. So this has got to be 11. All right. Obviously, the distance from 300 to 375 is 75. And then the total distance, which is called the difference between the two, okay, difference right there, is 11 plus 75, or a total of 86. Okay. So this is 86. And that's all there is to it. All right, but let me just illustrate one more time, just to hit it home, because you're with me virtually here, and I'm not with you. So let's take 500 and not 70, 564, say, minus 492, not 92, 97. All right, let's figure this out. So we're going to draw a number line just to represent it here, just so I can show you the concept. Okay, now 497 and 564, 500 is somewhere in between there, so that's a reference point. So 500 is here, 497 is here, and then 564 is somewhere over here. Okay, now 597 is obviously 3 away from 500. Okay, if you add 97 to 3, you get 100, plus 400 is 500. That should be obvious. All right, now between 500 and 67, there's 67 units. So what you have to do to find the difference between these two values is add. So 3 and 67, obviously 70. No, excuse me, I didn't say that correctly. What happened here? 6, 5, 6. Oh, I didn't write down the right number here. This is 4. This is 4. 3 and 64. Ah, okay. It's 67. Sorry. Got to write the right values. Okay, I didn't write down the right number. Okay, so the difference is 67. All right, if you want to check that, 564, okay, minus 497, and then you go for it, and you should get 67. Boom. Hey, that's the year I was born. All right, so there you go. And that's all there is to it. You want to visualize distances from some reference point. And then after you visualize those distances, you simply add the distances together, okay? So you don't have to do any borrowing. You can actually just look at the answer, or look at the problem and get the answer. That's what everybody wants to be able to do, okay? Instead of whipping out the pencil and paper, just figure it out. Okay, so I want you to convert every problem to a addition problem right here, looking at the distances, all right, and show your thinking. And what I mean by that is this, okay? When you do your work, you show 3 plus 43 is 46. And then you show 6 plus 83 is 89. And then 11 plus 75 is 86. You show your thinking. And then 3 plus 64 is 67. Show your thinking, illustrate the idea. Okay, because if you can think it correctly, you can do it in your head. All right, and that's how you rapidly subtract by adding. Just a little variation of how you were taught before. All right, this is Mr. Ainsworth. I'll see you in my next lesson. Bye-bye.